Hi, my friends. For this next Watch Me Work video, we're going to do something a little experimental. We're going to do a timing spread. But by timing, what I'm going to look at is kind of a series of time periods to see whether something is likely to happen in 3 sets of times. You could do this in a few ways. You could do this in a few ways based on whatever you want to do time period wise. So you might say each set of cards is a month or 6 months or a year, depending on how far you want to go. But we're going to do 3 sets of 7 cards, and we'll let each set of cards represent 6 months. So the top set of cards will represent the 6-month period that starts today and takes us to really the end of the year, and into the beginning of next year. The next set of cards will be the first half of 2025, and then the third set of cards will be the second half of 2025. So we're extending my normal prediction amount by about 6 months. Well, actually by a whole year, because I really only do 6 months at a time. But again, this is experimental. And what we're going to do is let's say we have a client named Callie who wants to know if her partner, Sam, is going to propose marriage. So we'll see how likely that is in each of the 3 time periods. Now, this is a lot of cards. You don't have to do 7, but this is based on a spread that I found that is a past, present, future spread that I just adapted, and that uses 7 cards per set. This is the Supernova Tarot, which I was very hard on in my review, not so much of the deck, but of the lack of diversity in general in mass market printing. This is a very queer deck, which I like about it. So this is the first 6-month spread, which is today to the end of this year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to do 5 for the sake of time. But the one I stole this from uses 7. I don't really recommend that you change your mind on how you're going to do a spread after you've shuffled. But again, this isn't a real reading, and I'm really just sort of making my life easier. You could use 3 cards. You could use 1 card, however you want to do it. But I'm a fan of big spreads. Okay, all right. So now to the end of the year, first half of 2025, second half of 2025. And again, smaller time periods are usually more accurate in my experience, but you can do this however you want to. Now, I laid these out in a row, but you can read them however you want to. Obviously in their individual time periods. So let's look at the top row. We have the 5 of Cups, Strength, the Ace of Swords, the Page of Swords, and the Hermit. Now, the Hermit out of the gate and the 5 of Cups in particular tell me that this is not a time that's likely to result in a proposal. In fact, there's some evidence there may be thinking about a breakup. Why? The shake-up of the 5 of Swords, the cutting of the Ace and the Page, and the solitude of the Hermit, and this feeling of strength. So actually, they may be contemplating ending this relationship, or in the next 6 months. Now, how do we deal with that with a real client? It's a tough call, right? We've got to say what we see. If that's not the case, there's some curiosity about what else could be out there. But I also get a very introverted sense. Now, I don't know much about this client because I made them up. But the Ace of Swords, the Page of Swords, and the Hermit all give a very solitary quality to them. The breakup energy is big because strength is there. So there's maybe some conflict that needs a resolution here. Certainly there have been arguments. The swords are argumentative. The Hermit is somewhat argumentative, being associated with Virgo. Can't believe I'm using astrological associations, but it's right there on the card. Virgos tend to be somewhat, how do we put this diplomatically, opinionated. And very difficult to change out of their opinion. So they can be conflicted. So this may be my client whose combativeness and whose swordsiness is actually creating the conflict. Or it's their partner. All right, so assuming the relationship survives, we move into the second row. Here we have the 8 of Pentacles, the 8 of Wands, 2 8s, 6 of Swords, the Magician, and the 6 of Wands. Now, again, not big cup energy here. In fact, in the whole spread, there's only one cup card. So, do with that what you will. Eights are effortful. They're laborious. They're work. They're vocation. Sixes are beautiful. That's a good sign. The Magician's tricky. And the Six of Wands, again, we have six is good. But the motion of the six, again, kind of gives me forward motion, right? So not necessarily a sign of proposal. And again, we have another sort of swordsy card that's moving. I think that this person is going to be more focused on their work, the partner. Because the reading, remember, are they going to propose? Is Sam going to propose? Sam's the object of the reading, or the subject of the reading, rather. The client is the object of the proposal. The client is the subject of the reading. They're going to be focused on their work a lot, and actually that's going to be taking them away. And what it's taking them to is something, again, that's not relationship related. It's probably, if I'm generous, sort of getting their work off the ground and sort of putting the magic in their work so they can get where they want to go in life. If I'm being less generous, there may be some playing around happening. Now, I don't know whether this is a monogamous relationship or not. That would be context that would be helpful. But again, not much evidence here that there's a proposal on the way. Ace of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, Page of Wands, Six of Pentacles, and Five of Pentacles. So, I mean, when I look at the reading overall, Pentacles, Pentacles, Pentacles. So we've got four Pentacles. We've got only one Cups card. We've got 1, 2, 3 Swords cards. 1, 2 Majors, 3 Majors. Wands. We've got 3 Wands cards. Yeah, I mean, there's, again, the lack of cups overall tells me that a romance is not really what's playing out here. Ace of Pentacles may actually signal a new part of this person's life for them. They may be moving on, and in fact, looking for partnership. Page of Wands, Wands partnership, sex anyway, to people in their work life. Six of Pentacles, people they're attracted to in their fields. And if the relationship hasn't ended up here, it's likely to end here with the Five of Pentacles, because they're going to shake up their life as it is. So, no, I don't see any sign of a proposal in the next year and a half. And in fact, if this relationship survives that long, I would be surprised. Now, whether that's good news or bad news isn't for me to decide, right? That's up to the client, and I don't know. I don't know how they feel about it, right? Because this is a video reading, they haven't told me. This is a good example of what do I say when I see something that's not good, and I have to say what I see. You know, that's just how this works, right? We have to just give the message that's there. So, no. Sam's not going to be proposing anytime soon. Could that change? Yes, it could. In fact, if this up here gets rearranged, this all may be different. Let's do something. Let's say that the combativeness ceases, right? All of that kind of big Virgo energy in the first set of cards changes things up. Now, I'm using the same set of cards because the circumstances aren't really that different. The people are the people, but what we've done is addressed the conflict we saw in the first row. If we mess things up, does that give us more potential? By mess things up, I mean if we change, what happens in the next 6 months? Again, the conditions are similar, so the cards don't have to change. You know, there isn't going to be more romance there than there was, because, again, there's a lot going on that's pretty negative. But let's see what happens if we just shuffle the deck, literally, in the favor of mixing things up. And so we take a different track in the first 6-month period. How does that impact the situation? Some things to take note of from the last spread. The Five of Cups still shows up in the first column, or the first row, rather. The Eight of Wands and the Eight of Pentacles are still connected. The Five of Pentacles is still in the third row. Those are things that haven't changed much. Otherwise, the cards are in all different positions. So now, let's say I change what I'm doing, or, you know, my client changes what they're doing. Page of Swords, Ace of Swords. This sort of says, how am I being curious about what I'm cutting, who I'm cutting, and how? And what if I were a little bit more down to earth and approached my relationship in a more earthy way? Would that change it? Yes, it would. Now, in the earlier spread, the Five of Cups was not great because we were starting there and it wasn't good. Here, it's changing up a status quo emotionally, and that is good. Page of Wands, the Hermit, Strength, Six of Wands, and the Magician. I still think that there's a tendency to want to sort of be searching for the single life, really. And that's still potent. And in fact, the Six of Wands and the Magician are still very linked in this way. And the Six of Wands is moving to the Magician, which may, again, mean a little bit of playing on the side. So... Then the final third is the Five of Pentacles, the Six of Swords, the Eight of Wands, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Six of Pentacles. Remember, the focus of the reading is still Sam, right? Because that's who we're asking about. Are they going to propose in the next year and a half? So that's who the reading is about. That's who this reading is reflecting. They still want to shake up how things are going, and they still want to move towards something that's much sexier, probably work-wise, and again, that feels better. Now, the breakup is less likely, but still there's the potential for it, because again, they're kind of really strongly interested in being single and what that could give them. They may be moving in that direction anyway, and this is just sort of about making their life work, right? Work, 8. Life, Pentacles, sexuality, Wands, to something that's more reciprocal, and down to earth. So as down to earth as we have made things up here, doesn't really change things enough. You could argue, that changing everything here changes everything here, and so using a whole new set of cards would be valuable. But there's something really interesting to me about taking the same set of cards and working with them in a completely new way when we're talking about the same thing, because there's only so much that changes. And the thing about relationship readings that's always difficult for clients and readers, I think, sometimes to understand is that it's not just what the client wants that matters. And what's very clear here is that this person, Sam, the client's partner, wants other things. And that may soften or delay the breakup changing the way we're acting, but not necessarily. So again, it's a weird mix, right? We don't really know for sure. Obviously, if the client were here, we'd have more information. But again, just sort of working with what we've got, it doesn't look good. Not only for a proposal, but also for the sustainability of this particular relationship. So sorry, client, Sam just isn't in it. So again, I like experimenting this way, though, because it's cool. I don't know how to say it any other way. It's cool. So take care. I hope this was interesting. Be good, and we will talk soon. Bye.